Maybe just to stick on fiber a little bit, two different questions here. One, could you talk a little bit about, there's a lot of push from governments, not just in the US, but internationally, about digital divide and really getting rural broadband out there. It seems to be happening across Europe and the emerging markets as well. So how do you see that transpiring? And then related to that, when you talk about your actual fiber design and manufacture, how over time are you able to differentiate and maybe take cost out to make some of those more reasonable or easier to install, or some of the things that you're innovating on to help proliferate fiber, like you talked about it getting much deeper into networks?
Yeah, maybe I'll start. And it appears to me that during the pandemic, a number of people, particularly government leaders, have started to view broadband as a basic human right, that people need to be able to connect to the rest of the world no matter where they are. They need it for education, they need it for communication, they need it for information. And as a result of that, governments in Europe and the United States have started to propose much more aggressive builds to take broadband to rural areas and to underserved communities. We are eager to help. I think that one of the ways that we can make it more cost effective is to help build networks in our factories that can be snapped together in the field. That's led to pretty dramatic decreases in the cost to pass homes and connect homes in the fiber to the home space. I think that we can scale those capabilities over time. And maybe Claudio has some specifics on types of things we do in our factories that you asked about.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the key is you want to make something that's very high tech, like an optical fiber, to be viewed as something super simple by the customer, right? Something that they don't even think that's glass, right? That they play with those cables as if they don't even know that there is glass inside. So we have been doing that, again, when we worked on fiber to the home, for instance, what Jeff said, trying to make the fiber to be something that is a plug and play system, right? So everything that in principle you would do in the field, like stripping the coating of the fiber, splicing the fiber, all that. It's highly technical labor that you have to do in the field to install a fiber network. How can we reduce that cost or increase the speed of installation? Well, let's bring that to our factory. Let's do that connectorization, that splicing, all that work we do in our factory, and we create custom solutions that you just go and plug and play in the field. By doing that, you increase the quality, right, the reliability of the product. You're doing that inside a protected environment of the factory. You're doing that in a scale that makes the cost much lower. And then when you give that to the customer, it's much faster and easier for them to deploy in lower cost. We have done that in fiber to the home, and we are migrating that to other spaces now. For instance, if you think about the big hyperscale data centers, if you imagine their campus, right, with enormous buildings, with lots of racks, with servers there, and a lot of individual jumpers going, can you design that network in our factory? Can we provide cables and solutions and the wiring of that's already pre-made for that specific custom? So it's a customization that makes their deployment much simpler, easier. Now, if you translate to the beginning of your question in rural broadband, well, we're going to have to do something similar, right? Because in rural, you're going to have to depend even more on a self-installation, for instance, right? Think about homeowners or farmers that are able to do part of that installation themselves, for instance. How can we enable that, making our products more ready for those type of...
Yeah, an example is the fiber we introduced a few weeks ago is much more tolerant to bends. So you don't have to worry, did I bend the fiber too much and things like that. You could easily wrap it around a pencil or maybe even a chopstick and it would be fine.
And lower attenuation.
And lower attenuation.
Yeah.
And better compatibility with the existing fiber network, so we don't need somebody to impedance match.
I always believe that really good communication means you should have unlimited bandwidth, almost infinite. And bidirectional, this is very important, symmetrical. Should get as much upload as download, and very affordable, almost free. And the pandemic just taught me that was the largest scale experiment for IoT that lasted for a long time. The connection lasted, all those students at home were hours and hours on their laptops and gadgets, and everybody else, the teachers and people at work and families and friends. So I didn't like the fact that my grandchild will come to my home because I have a better connection, and he cannot have that in his home. So it just emphasized the point that Jeff mentioned. It's really a human right. You do everything now on the internet, and I still believe infinite bandwidth, bidirectional, almost free. We need to make money. So
yeah, great. I do want to follow up on wrapping the fiber around the chopstick, but I think we'll do that another time.